Hey, hey, hey. I was thinking, and so I wanted to come on here and share my thoughts with you. Yesterday, I attended the homegoing celebration of my former pastor's son. He passed away suddenly, and we were able to celebrate his life yesterday. Now, my pastor, he's been gone a year. He passed away a year ago today. But it was in those 90s that I joined Good Shepherd Baptist Church. And that was home for me. Like I learned so much about Jesus and his life. And yeah, I owe that pastor everything as far as who I am and no longer being a babe in Christ. But as I listened to people yesterday talk about the life of his son, I was just thinking like, what an impact he made. As I mentioned, it was a sudden death, so it was not expected. But yet, he lived his life seemingly to be intentional about the legacy he was leaving. As his sister said, if you met the father, then you met him. Like they were two of the same. They looked alike. They had the same sense of humor. I remember years ago, the father tried to hook me up with him, not for real, but in a joking way, because I was at my pastor's house for something and talking to his wife, and I kept hearing the smoke detector. And I'm one of those people that it drives me crazy. And they had a vaulted ceiling, and so I had to climb up a ladder to change that battery, but I couldn't take it anymore. And I remember pastors saying, like, oh, if you could change a battery, you need a husband. And I got a son you can have, right? So that was so funny. Like, I'll never forget my pastor for that. But periodically, I come on here probably 2 to 3 times a year and talk about legacy and why it's important and how we get to create our legacy every day with every person we come in contact with every interaction that we have. We are creating our legacy. And I wanted to come on here just to remind you to be intentional with it. Like how you show up is how people will remember you. I remember last week someone said to me, like, well, it wasn't necessarily about how I show up because I try to be intentional with being who you see me on social media being as the person I am in real life. Like they are the same. Now, there are times where maybe I have somewhat of an attitude. Like I don't do well if I'm sleepy. I don't do well if I'm sick. I know that. And I try to stay away from people. But I was out last week and I saw this guy who's a Facebook friend of mine. And he was like, you look exactly the same as you do on live. And I thought to myself, like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know, like, how I can make myself look any different. I guess filters, right? But the only thing he thought is that I was 5'1". He didn't realize that I was tall. I don't know where the 5'1" came from because I sit all the time. So I could be anywhere. I could be 6'3" for all he knew, right? But I thought that that was funny. But every person whose life we touch is part of our legacy. This guy, he didn't have any kids, but his legacy would continue because he had nieces, he had children that he helped raise, he has his family. Like his legacy will continue. And it was just nice to be back in the same church with my church family, supporting our former first family. One of his sister, his older sister, and her husband sung a song that we probably sung back in the 90s. And it was just good singing it again, seeing if I could remember my notes as an alto, seeing if I could remember the words. And then there was a time where some of us former choir members came up and sung a song, and that felt good. It was just good to go back and revisit that time. Yeah. But I wanted to come on here really because, like I said, life is so fragile. It is fleeting. It could be here one moment and gone the next. And so, what are you doing to be intentional about the legacy you're creating and also how you're showing up? Are you being intentional with living? Many of us just exist. We get up every day, do the same thing that we did the day before, and it's just a routine. And we just go with it. But what can you do to ensure that you're truly living and living a life of purpose? Not just living and having the time of your life, but being purposeful with what it is that you're doing. Because we're all created to be an answer to someone's prayer. So are you being responsible with being that answer? Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there. That was on my mind just because yesterday was a reminder. And it's something how death is the reminder to live or even facing death, because I remember going through cancer. That is where my mind said, you know what, I have to be a lot more intentional with how I'm living this life because we get one, just one. So, yeah, so think about that. Think about your legacy. Think about how you're being intentional with your living. And know in all of this that I love you. Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye bye.